The views and opinions expressed by the host of this show are his and his alone. They do not reflect the views of this network, his employer, any of the universities he attended, his family and friends or former roommates, any of the 5 Temptations, the 4 Tops, or any number of the Pips. They may or may not reflect the views of the other voices in his head. His dog, however, agrees with him 100%. And now, broadcasting live from a secure, undisclosed location deep in the heart of Texas, it's the Snarky Parenthetical. Here's your host. He's highly caffeinated and mildly irritated. Here's Lathan Watts.
All right, welcome back, Snarky Parenthetical. Appreciate you being patient while I was out striving for the legal tender, as Jackson Brown would say. But we're back at it. Good to be back. Just literally got off a plane to a meeting, and here I am. Not just dressing up for you. But let's
formal clothes responsibilities.
Yeah,
guys.
Exactly. You know, try to look like I know what I'm talking about anyway.
There you go.
All right, let's jump into it. Usually do some news stuff at the top of the show. So here's something from Smoking Gun that caught my eye. Great website.
Oh yeah.
Criminal rap for Walmart cold chicken attack. This is.
I can already tell this is going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. According to the cops, woman age 20 hit victim in the head with thrown poultry. Now it's getting real.
Okay, yeah. That's right.
A Pennsylvania woman facing criminal charge after allegedly striking another woman in the back of the head with a cold chicken at Walmart Supercenter, according to police and court records. This is out of, as it says, Pennsylvania, so thank you, Smoking Gun, for allaying my fears. This is not my people. Police say that, I don't even know how to pronounce this name, so I'm not going to try, age 20, earlier this month, threw a cold chicken at Kimberly Pittman, age 52, while the women were inside a Walmart in Chambersburg, central Pennsylvania borough, about 15 miles from the Maryland state line. The chicken struck Pittman in the back of the head, according to the Pennsylvania State Police. It is unclear what prompted the alleged poultry attack or if Pittman was injured in the October 7th incident. So this is one of those, just kind of fill in the blanks yourself.
Exactly.
You know, was it the last frozen chicken and they were fighting over it?
Very
somebody,
possible.
Could be several things that led up to this, but apparently Miss Fix, who I am not going to attempt to pronounce her first name, she'd had enough.
Hey, these supply chain shortages, man, they're hitting everyone.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is. Supply chain, inflation. Pretty soon, people start throwing chickens.
Yeah,
it's the way of the world.
She figured if I don't get it now, there is not going to be a Thanksgiving feast this year.
Right.
I'm going all out.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if it was sort of this was the last frozen chicken in the freezer,
right?
And that's what started it, or you just can't ever tell these days.
Oh yeah.
But be careful out there. Yeah. Just be careful out there. We've done stories before on this show about knife attacks in the checkout line.
Oh yeah.
They're taking their poultry seriously in Pennsylvania, apparently.
Pennsylvania listeners, beware.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever been hit in the head with a frozen chicken?
I probably wouldn't remember it if it had happened, but
right.
I can't say I have.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd say that's a pretty unique situation.
That's getting pretty serious there.
Mm-hmm.
So that headline just sort of caught my eye. Apparently, Fix last year was convicted for passing a forged check and placed on probation for 9 months, ordered to perform 50 hours of community service, and was arrested last month also. So,
wow.
She was already sort of on thin ice. You would think if you're on probation, maybe not throw frozen chickens around. Like, could you not just maybe like... I don't know, a verbal harassment and then leave.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Not this lady.
Nope. She went straight to throwing the chicken.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just cut right to it. So there's that in Pennsylvania. Let's see, what else do we have? I think the last episode we did, we sort of had a running theme of stories from the Department of Entirely Predictable Consequences.
Uh-huh.
Here's a little follow-up to that one. From Reuters, Democratic cries to defund police fade in U.S. mayoral races as crime surges.
Huh. Who would have thunk?
Exactly. The Department of Entirely Predictable Consequences.
Strikes again.
Exactly. Here it is. Felicia Moore, Atlanta's city council president, vows to hire 250 police officers to help combat her city's rising crime rate if she's elected mayor next week. Her most prominent Democrat rival, former mayor Kasim Reed, wants to go even further, putting 750 more officers on the street. So we've gone in the span of a year to who can be the most radical to defund the police to who wants to hire the most police.
Right.
I can't imagine what happened in the interim.
Yeah.
That would have changed the politics on this issue. And
it's a mystery. I can't imagine. Yeah.
Exactly. According to Reuters, public safety is at the forefront in dozens of major U.S. cities, poised to elect new mayors on Tuesday. After a year of defund the police, becoming the rallying cry at protests against racism, police brutality, Democrat candidates from Atlanta to Minneapolis are eschewing proposals to reduce police funding. With most urban areas deeply Democratic, the campaigns provide a preview of how Democrats may seek to bridge the gaps between liberals who support policing overhauls and moderates who worry Republicans will weaponize the issue in next year's congressional elections. So, of course, it's not because it's actually a good idea. It's because, no, it's because if we don't do this, the Republicans are going to weaponize it and use it against us.
Right. It's not about actually keeping the public safe.
No. No. Yeah.
Couldn't be that.
Yeah, it's clearly just about winning elections. Mm-hmm. Pew Research poll released this week found 47% of Americans want to see police spending increase, up from 31% in June of 2020. Only 15% said it should be reduced, which is down from 25% last year. Polls show black voters, who are most likely to be victims of crime and live in neighborhoods with high crime rates, are particularly opposed to cutting funding.
Huh.
I know.
Would you look at that?
Shocking. People who actually deal with crime understand the value of having police officers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's almost like they did all along.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just kind of a weird political, politically correct mess.
Yeah, exactly.
In the interim.
Yeah. Here's a great quote. Always go to a political science professor.
Oh, of course.
Communities that tend to be black and brown, that tend to be less affluent, actually want police, said Tammy Greer, political science professor at Clark Atlanta University. The pendulum was always going to shift back. Let me tell you something, Tammy. The pendulum never shifted in the first place.
Exactly.
The people who deal with crime, who are victims of crime, want police around.
And they kind of always have. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So,
wow.
Yeah, one more from the file of entirely predictable consequences.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a bulging file.
It's got to be. Yeah, running out of room.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could do entire episodes just on entirely predictable consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. What else from the news this week? Here's one that caught my eye immediately. This is a hat tip to the Daily Wire. PETA calls on Major League Baseball to replace the term bullpen with arm barn. I'm not making it up.
What? You've got to be kidding. I mean...
I wish I was.
Wow.
As the World Series gets underway this week, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals on Thursday called on Major League Baseball to retire the term bullpen and start using a more animal-friendly term. They pitched the idea of arm barn instead.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, here's a question, PETA. Okay, everybody wants to treat animals ethically, right?
Sure.
Nobody's in favor of abusing animals. But of all the bulls in the world, what would you say, what percentage of them understand baseball? How many of them are even aware that there is baseball and there's a place where the pitchers warm up and that it's referred to as the bullpen?
Mm-hmm.
And are they really traumatized by that?
Mm-hmm. Decent question.
I mean, are there bulls out there who are worried about this?
Have they suddenly gotten way smarter than we've always understood them to be?
Precisely. Let me tell you what bulls are thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and answer this for you. Every bull in the world is thinking one of two things right now.
Yes.
Get something to eat, mount a heifer. That's pretty much it.
There you go.
That's what they're thinking about.
Uh-huh.
It ain't baseball.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another joke that
right.
I really want to make right now about thinking about baseball. But I'm not going to do it because this is a family-friendly show.
Save that for the after hours. That's right.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
I mean, seriously, come on. I mean, have we completely run out of actual issues that affect,
Apparently so.
the well-being of animals, that we now have moved on to what Major League Baseball refers to the warm-up area for pitchers as? I mean, if there's ever been an organization that has jumped the shark to this degree, I don't know what it is. By the way, there's another phrase they probably don't like, jump the shark.
True.
Because somewhere out there, there's a shark whose feelings are hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're referring to people jumping over them for some reason. Because I'm sure they saw the episode of Happy Days where Fonzie actually literally jumped over a shark, which is where that phrase comes from. I can't remember if it was like on his motorcycle or water skis or something, but that's where the phrase comes from. Like when a show has just gone completely
interesting
to the point of ridiculous.
And sharks everywhere were outraged.
Of course, yeah. They took a break from their baby seal eating to come up and go, seriously, stop talking about us this way. I was a big Happy Days fan back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dating myself a little bit, but I was a big fan of Fonzie. Right?
Oh, yeah.
As a kid. And then I got a little bit older, figured out Fonzie was actually kind of a take on James Dean.
Right.
Discovered James Dean, started growing signbirds as soon as I possibly could.
Obviously.
Still have them to this day. Not that you can see them because of the headphone.
Right. No, that was the only thing to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, PETA, like, you've got a pretty good gig going. Like, you get to send somebody to every movie set, to just keep an eye and make sure, so they can put that little disclaimer in the credits that PETA monitored it, make sure no animals were harmed. I mean, maybe they should, maybe PETA could just expand a little bit and start checking prop guns.
Yes.
Because apparently nobody else is.
Right. We need someone on that case, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's human beings are technically animals of some sort. I mean, we're mammals, right? So, was anybody checking to make sure no mammals were harmed by the firing of a prop gun?
Seems like a wise use of resources to me.
But I digress.
Something to look into.
Yeah, exactly. And, speaking of worshiping the creation instead of the creator, that brings me to Not the Bee.
Yes.
One of my favorite sites, one of the only two reasons to keep the internet. That, and so that you can watch the show, of course.
Obviously.
Not the Bee. Check out this new Presbyterian hymn, Worshiping the Climate, and Tell Me Wokeism Isn't a Religion. Great headline.
Oh, boy.
This is an actual hymn, according to Babylon Bee. This is an actual hymn, not the Bee, I should say, from the long heretical PCUSA denomination. So good on you, Mr. Abbott, who wrote this article.
Knows his stuff.
The name of the hymn is The Climate is Changing.
Huh.
Yeah.
A hymn.
Yes, we're going to sing this
The
in
hymn.
PCUSA churches. Let's just check out a couple of verses here, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
The climate is changing. Creation cries out. Your people face flooding and fire and drought. We see the great heat waves and storms at their worst. We pray for the poor, Lord, for they suffer first. Okay. If the climate is making human beings suffer, then all of us are suffering,
Right.
right?
Sure. We're all here.
It would not
on
make any
this
difference,
planet.
your economic status, as to who's suffering first, right?
Yeah.
The heat doesn't hit the poor quicker than it hits the rich.
Right.
Okay. I
Very
can't
true.
believe that I'm actually analyzing the words to this song, but
No, yeah, good point.
yeah. And like I said, speaking of worshiping the creation instead of the creator, verse 2, we pray for the animals here in our midst who cannot defend their own right to exist. We pray for the mountains, forests, and seas that bear the harsh footprint of our human greed. Like,
Wow.
you are literally singing hymns to the earth. Like, look, we have a responsibility to take care of the earth, right?
Sure.
I mean, God gave us dominion over it. We should be good stewards of it.
Absolutely.
But we're the ones made in his image. The earth
Right.
was created for us.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, that implies some responsibility to take care of it.
Sure.
But come on. It just boggles the mind
Oh, yeah.
that there are people who are going to sing this with a straight face in church somewhere in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're kind of missing the point
Right.
of the entire Bible.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah. It was never about creation, as far as what was created for us to enjoy. It was about the creator and the relationship with the most important creation.
Sure.
As is actually stated in the Bible. I mean, that's what you go to church for. It's not, I don't understand. It's crazy.
And this is where, people have completely turned politics into a religion.
Exactly.
If you start with a political point or a political position,
Mm-hmm.
and then go open your sacred text to justify it, whatever that text is,
Right.
New Testament, the Torah, Quran, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you start out already with a position and then open your sacred text to try to justify it or to back it up, politics is your real religion.
Exactly.
That's what you actually worship.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
If you start with your sacred text and let that text inform your political opinions, then that, whatever text that is your religion.
Mm-hmm.
And I know of no religion that doesn't expect that the teachings of that religion influence all aspects of your life,
Right.
including the way you vote,
Yes.
right? I mean, it's a blessing to live in a free country and have the right to participate in choosing who's going to govern you.
Of course.
But this just sums up. This is what's wrong with so many things right
Yep.
now. And we've
Yep.
talked a lot on the show about how everything is politicized. But if you're going to politicize everything, start from the right place.
Right.
Don't start with politics and then go to your quote religion
Right.
to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this ridiculous kind of this weird melting pot kind of thing that's happened now, where it's you go to church and it has to be, there's I forget whether it was the Catholic Church or what it was, but where they were doing this program where they had to bring up in some portion of the service how they were serving underprivileged members of the community, and then had to list out all of the different minority groups that and let's not forget this one and then this one, and we did something for these folks, and you're just like, this is just it's become a game now. It's not even
Yeah, it's checking
genuine.
a box.
Yeah.
It's literally checking a box.
Right.
Like, let's, let's list everybody out by demographic. Make sure we've done something for each little group instead of treating all of them as if they were created in the image of God.
Exactly.
And there's no difference between any of us based on ethnicity or race or whatever.
Yep.
They're a child of God. You take care of them. Like, that's what you do.
It's that simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Insanity.
Yes. Going back a little bit, because there was another point that I forgot to make on the whole Major League Baseball thing with PETA.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of the politicization of everything, including sports, even if I was not a Braves fan, which I have been since I was a kid, I would be thoroughly enjoying this World Series being hosted by Texas and Georgia. Just knowing the consternation it is causing in the front office of Major League Baseball. Because you took the All-Star game away from Atlanta because you didn't like the bill about election integrity that the Georgia legislature was passing.
Right.
So you took the All-Star game from them. Good for you, Major League Baseball. Check the box.
Exactly.
You know what? You've shown your politically correct bona fides. Well, good luck taking the World Series away from them because they're in it.
Too bad you couldn't stop the whole meritocracy of the actual game that's played.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm thoroughly enjoying the fact that the World Series is rotating back and forth between Texas and Georgia. Two states that MLB probably doesn't like that much. Which makes the World Series all the more enjoyable to me.
Absolutely.
But, like I said, I'm a Braves fan from way back. I grew up, my house was out in the country, didn't have cable. When I would go into town to see the grandparents, they had cable, TBS, played every Braves game. Every Braves game. This was back, like Ted Turner built an empire on Atlanta Braves, cartoons, and wrestling. That's pretty much it. Like, that's all that ever was on TBS was like professional wrestling, cartoons, or the Atlanta Braves. And so I became a Braves fan because I was watching all these games with my grandparents. Because most people in Arkansas are Cardinal fans.
That's what I would have expected, yeah.
And I was a real fan. Now, the Braves were so bad in the 80s. I mean, just perpetually cellar dwellers.
Right.
Like, I clearly remember watching these games with my grandpa, and if they even had a lead, like debating how they were going to blow it. Like, how do you think we're going to lose? Yeah. So there's nobody who had a greater distaste for the bandwagon Braves fans in the early to mid 90s than those of us who had been around through the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, they won the World Series in 95, and I woke up the next day and like didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I don't know how to live. I don't know how to live in a world where the Braves are World Series champions. Like, what do we do now? Like, the Braves won. So they've had their ups and downs. They're back at it. Hope they pull it off. We'll see.